Welcome to another edition of Table Talk. In this edition, we have Councillor Sheldon Parsons, who is Councillor for Ward 5 here in Wallaceburg. Good morning, Mr. Parsons. How are you?
Good morning. Great.
We're here to discuss woodlots today. Number one issue has been the clear cutting, of course, and the bylaw that's been introduced. How long has this been an issue for people in Chatham-Kent?
Well, for Chatham-Kent, it's been an issue since the get-go. In fact, it predated amalgamation. There were issues around concerns over protecting woodlots and conserving tree cover in Chatham-Kent as early as 1980s. 1990s, it resurrected itself. When amalgamation happened, it was kind of quiet, but then early in amalgamation, there were thoughts of needing to improve our greening strategy, improve our forest cover. So there was a major report presented by staff to Council in 2003. Council did not act on it. We have various policy documents which, as I have said, they talk the walk, but we haven't actually put anything into action or into a bylaw form which would walk the talk. So we don't regulate any tree cover, forest cover. We hope that property owners would do it on their own volition, but as has been seen in the last year and a half, that's not working too well. So it became another issue for me throughout my council career. I've been concerned about it, talking to staff at various intervals as to what we can do about it, and it wasn't until the results of all the clear cutting that happened in 2012 that I realized that if no one else was going to do it, then I was going to have to, and so I introduced the notice of motion early in January 2013.
So that's why you did it, is because of your own personal concerns?
Personal concerns, community concerns. We have some health effects in Chatham-Kent, which the health professions have been difficult to explain, and some have suggested that it might even be related to the amount of forest cover we don't have. Throughout southwestern Ontario, we have the least forest cover of any area municipality within southwestern Ontario. In fact, the Lower Thames Valley Conservation Authority in the report card gave us a failing grade in terms of the amount of forest cover we have. And that then brings about the debate whether tree cover is the same as corn cover. And that debate certainly raised its head during the last discussions that presented themselves to Council.
As well, prairie wildgrass was raised as an issue that it would...
Absolutely, yep.
And is it equal to you, or is there...
Absolutely not. If you look at life that is just humans and that's all that really matters, then whether you have forest cover, whether you have corn cover, whether you have prairie grass, maybe it doesn't matter as much, but if you consider the fact that we are just one of millions of species on this planet, and that we have a responsibility and obligation to not look just out for ourselves, but look out for other species as well. The deer can't live in cornfields. The muskrats and the raccoons, they can't live in cornfields. The birds and various wildlife need forest, and they need lots of it. They need connecting forests so that they can travel from one area to another safely. And without forest cover, they can't do that. So there is a definite need for trees in our environment, and lots of them.
And as well, we've seen some negative campaigning regarding the issue. Is there anything you'd like to say about that? Is it all accurate, or do you find that some people have...
Well, in any discussion, there's always fringe, and the fringe are the loudest and the strongest voices, and not necessarily the most well-informed. But we have two groups that are trying to work their way to the table and come up with a solution for Council to consider. The one side is led by the Kent Federation of Agriculture. They are naturally concerned about farm industry and the prospects and the economic well-being of that industry. I was reminded by a farmer not so long ago that it was the largest industry in Chatham-Kent, and I should back off. I can't do that. The other group that's involved in this is the CK Woodlot Preservation Group, and they are an umbrella organization involving a number of organizations and naturalists, conservationists, groups and individuals who are naturally concerned about not only woodlots but natural habitat wetlands, and having an environment that's sustainable. Given the amount of woodcut that's happening in Chatham-Kent in 2012 and so far in 2013, we're heading down the wrong way. And the slope is very slippery right now with the amount of woodlot clear cutting that's going on.
And we've heard a lot about new clear cutting that's astronomical numbers in comparison to the past.
It's just, it's agonizing, it's painful, it's bothering people as they look at it because there's absolutely no sensitivity to anything but cut the trees down and get them out of the way as quickly as possible. It's not sustainable what they're doing. There's lots of, in fact, I just saw an email this morning that there were 10 piles of brush just lit up, and so that's smog in the air that's going to increase the health issues in Chatham-Kent, and a lot of that wood could have been used for fireplaces. It could have been used for other purposes other than just light a match to it and wait for it to burn down. So it's just painful to see what's happening, and it's indiscriminate. And in my opinion, it is just wrong.
Irresponsible.
Irresponsible was the word I was trying to get to.
Yeah.
It's absolutely irresponsible what some property owners are doing.
So where are we now, and where is it heading to, this whole topic?
Since the notice of motion was presented, it came to council. Council overwhelmingly supported the notion that we needed to sit down and consult. We needed to bring both sides together, have a conversation and a dialogue about what was best for Chatham-Kent. What would be the solution that Chatham-Kent could adopt in order to not only secure the prospects and the economic viability of our farm businesses, but also retain some of those woodlots for our environment. That was overwhelmingly supported by council. I think there was only 2 members of council voted against it, and one, I think, voted inadvertently the wrong way, because I don't think anyone can argue with the need to consult and come up with a solution. Everyone agrees it's a problem. Even the Kent Federation of Agriculture agree there's a problem. It's just finding the right solution for Chatham-Kent. So that part of it was overwhelmingly supported. The part that council did not buy into was the temporary bylaw. And the point was made by me and by others that we needed some sort of pause. I called it a pause for the cause. We needed some stop in the action. We needed some break. We needed some sort of siesta from this madness that was going on in 2012 to allow us to come up with a solution that everyone could live with and accept, and be economically advantaged by some proposal that was going to at least protect the forest cover that we had and encourage additional forest cover to be planted. In the 6 years that council have supported a greening strategy with the Lower Thames Conservation Authority, we planted about 300 acres of new trees throughout Chatham-Kent. We've probably cut 150% of that in 3 months of 2013. So again, we're going the wrong way. The slippery slope is down and not up, and that we've got to change that. So council couldn't buy into the temporary bylaw. It was tabled with the amount of clear cutting that continued to happen. I brought it back to council. Council on a 9-8 vote turned down passing that temporary bylaw. So council basically gave property owners the green light to cut as much as you want and light a match to it. And that's really regrettable. We were 1 vote away from at least having a temporary pause in all of this madness to give a chance to some woodlot conservation.
Certainly there's been a very divided community and council over the issue. Is that something you foresaw before you got the whole ball rolling on this?
Well, I was certainly warned by staff that if I ever brought it up, there would be a hullabaloo. And there would be a lot of reaction from property owners. And they were right. Staff were absolutely right. There was a reaction. But with anything that's new, negative reaction is sometimes quite normal. And you have to talk through it. And the purpose of the notice of motion was that we would talk through it. We would come up with a solution that everyone could live with, at least the moderates within both camps could live with. If we had passed that temporary bylaw, we wouldn't see the clear cutting that's going on right today as you and I talk. There's bulldozers and hi-hos and chainsaws and pickup trucks out in Woodlots and Chatham-Kent, and they're just destroying habitat.
Right. And finally, on Monday, we're going to see probably a couple of new motions in council, as you were saying.
3 motions, notices of motion were presented by myself and Frank Verkutteren. Councillor Verkutteren wants us to look at a policy change that would allow a property owner to sever off his woodlot and keep it and sell the balance of the farm for farm purposes. And that currently is not allowed generally. They might find exceptions to allow it, but I think what Councillor Verkutteren's motion does would open that up to make it more a much easier road to follow to be able to do that. Property owners who are about to retire out of the farming business do not want to sell the woodlot. They want to sell the balance of the farm, but they don't want to sell the woodlot because they're concerned the woodlot's just going to get clear cut by the property owner coming in to buy up the farmland. And so they need some way to be able to either transfer that to a land trust or keep it in their own name and be able to provide that severance. Currently, policy makes it very difficult to get that severance. So this motion will try to free up that process. The other 2 motions are ones that I brought forward. One is one with respect to calling on and accepting the offer of the Sydenham Field Naturalists to replant 25 urban trees. Just this spring, we had some urban trees along Margaret Avenue, which were cut down by the Public Works Department because they were diseased. They were decorative trees. They really probably were poor choices 25 years ago when they were planted. But nonetheless, they were diseased. They had to be cut down. Public Works Department didn't have any money. It's a tough budget year. And the Public Works didn't have money to plant any new trees. So I called upon the Sydenham Field Naturalists. They agreed that they would undertake that as a project. And subsequent to that, we now have some money in the greening strategy to assist. So I hope council will approve that and accept the offer from the Sydenham Field Naturalists to replace those urban trees with native species, which is what we should be doing in order to ensure that they're going to be healthy and continue past the 25-year good before date. The other motion is with respect to a woodlot conservation fund. And through this fund, I would see that the municipality and other non-government agencies, foundations, charitable organizations, corporations would contribute funds to a fund that the municipality would maintain and use to buy up any woodlots that come available either on the open market or from interested farm owners or landowners that want to be able to transfer it to a public entity. The other part of that is that the municipality would then start to accumulate woodlots for preservation for the future.
Okay. Is there a specific fund, sort of certain amount that's already set aside, like is a target price for these woodlots?
We have no capital dollars set aside at all in Chatham-Kent, but that doesn't mean we haven't been active in doing that. I know here in Wallaceburg, the municipality loaned $75,000 to the Sydenham Field Naturalists to buy sycamore woods. It was an urban woodlot that was destined to be clear-cut about 5.5 years ago. Sydenham Field Naturalists came to council, actually no, it was about 10 years ago. They asked council to fund at least bankroll the purchase. Council agreed. The Sydenham Field Naturalists, by raising bingo money and all the other various ways that they raise money, were able to pay most of that money back to the municipality. So if we had a fund, that would have been easier to do. We wouldn't have had to take reserves or other tax revenues to allow that purchase to happen. We've gotten involved with Piers Wetland here, and council has authorized a $10,000 fund towards a $75,000 purchase on that property. And most of Chatham will remember that council spent over $400,000 to buy the remaining parcels of Paxton's Bush to make sure that that got preserved for public use. And so we have done it in the past, but it's always been hit and miss. And I would hope that with the Woodlot Conservation Fund, then we would have the money set in an area that if something came along on short notice, someone wanted to sell a 20-acre bush lot, we'd have funding that we would be able to accept that, make the payment, and transfer that property into public ownership.
The final report on this is going to come to council by August, is that right?
We expect it no later than August. I would hope that council would support a motion that we would expedite that process. The more trees that got cut down, the less there is to save. So the earlier we can get that report back, the earlier we can take action on a made-in-Chatham-Kent solution for a Chatham-Kent problem, the better. And so it's no later than August. I would certainly hope that we could get it sooner than that.
And as well as the Sydenham Field naturalists involved with this process?
They are part of the group that's umbrellaed under the CK Woodlot Preservation Group. They're very active here in North Chatham-Kent and have certainly the respect of council for the projects that they have undertaken and the way that we've been able to fund them. So I think their voices are certainly considered and heard when these issues come to council.
And their role being to?
They're activists organization, they're naturalists, they're conservationists, they're working very hard to preserve some natural habitat, mentioned Piers Wetland and Sycamore Woods. They also are the managers of Wallaceburg Pawpaw Woods, and it's interesting that this was a part of a subdivision that came back to us in a tax sale, and rather than just sell the lots, council agreed to keep them in public ownership because this woodlot was sitting on top of it. We asked the Sydenham Field naturalists to go into the woodlot and see if there was any native species in there. And lo and behold, there's 7 pawpaw trees, and these are very rare. I think they're on Walpole Island, but that's about all, and they may be on Moravian Town. But here we had 7 natural species of the pawpaw tree. Even in the Sheldon Pawpaw Woods in East Kent, there's no pawpaw trees. So this was an absolute treasure to find. And so the Sydenham Field naturalists are the forest managers for that property and managing it on behalf of the municipality.
Okay. All right, well, thank you again very much for your time, and we'll see you again.
Okay, thanks.
Okay. And that's another edition of Table Talk this week. We'll see you again next week. Thanks for watching.